an investigative game, an investigative fantasy game. We haven't included analysis in the scores because it just doesn't make a lot of sense on its own as a fantasy skill. We do have investigate, so it'd be fairly easy to make a knowledge investigate check for all of the things that analysis used to do if you wanted to run that style of game. Now, there are a lot of obvious things like that. Right. All the skills have one key ability, just one. However, there is a mix and match system that's built to expressly allow the GM to say, well, you're making an athletics check this turn. The athletics check is not dex-based, but strength, not strength-based rather, but dex-based because you are attempting something that relies more on manual coordination than actual brute force.
So all-nighter, computers, and constitution.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
No computer skill in this, obviously. Yeah. But yes.
Yeah. And we have some new skills like crafting, for instance, which is similar to science, but the crafting focuses are much.
Oh, crafting rocks.
Yeah,
crafting's now universal. So believe it or not, lockpicking falls under crafting, and it's because the idea is lockpicking covers building, repairing, modifying, and improvising, and that's it. Right. And disabling.
Right. Well, those of you who've played Spycraft, you've used science. And in science, you get to science focuses like refer to mechanics, refer to mechanics, refer to mechanics.
Mechanics and electronics are actually
well, yeah. So in this case, it's and thus fabrication does not cover everything in a fantasy game,
right?
Which is huge. So now you can have blacksmithing and weaving and
trap making and if you have trap making, then you can disable traps.
And if you
know how to build them, you can take them apart.
And if you have a unique substance, like you have, so let's say in your setting you have people who live off whaling, and so yeah, their whole thing is they have to live off whales, and so you might have a crafting whale hide. I don't know what to call it, whale tanning, but so you can extract food and if you wear whale skin, can you wear whale skin?
Yes.
Okay.
It's actually used as waterproof garment.
Excellent. Okay, raincoats. Crafting raincoats isn't as interesting as whale skin, but yeah, we'll go with it. So yeah, you can do lots of things. So if you want to introduce new things in, if you want to introduce whole new technologies in, you can just add a crafting focus for it, and then you've got all the rules to run it.
There's so many different ways that the skill list has been refined. Impress and Intimidate are now the only two interpersonal skills. Both of them only do two things.
Well, there's also lying and
okay, by interpersonal, I mean convincing of the skills. We don't have manipulate anymore. Impress and Intimidate both do the same thing in different ways. Impress, they do two things. One is making someone like you more, and the other one is convincing them to do something for you. You can do either of these things by sweet-talking them or roughing them up. So the systems will actually be identical, it's just the effects will be different.
Right.
All of the skills that are opposed, we have this matrix of opposed skills like bluff and sense motive and sneak and notice and whatnot. All of those skills actually only do one thing now. It's all very simple and they all oppose each other directly. And the skill checks are like wicked small.
Right.
It's, what happens if you succeed? What happens if you get a crit fail with 4 ranges that are basically multiply an effect by the die spent? There's no wacky alternating critical success effects and all these other things. And failure works the same way.
Right. And then for those of you who do techno fantasy or something like that, it's trivial to take Spycraft's skill system and lay it back over it. I really like more skills. I like things a little more granular. I like having manipulate. I have a game that's very, very social. I want to have 6 social skills. Yeah, I haven't gotten to that yet. There's talk about village checks too. But all these things can be laid back over it if you want to go that way. That's the great thing is the pastiche is very simple. If you take the whole system, move it over, and it's not very hard to do at all. Now, there's one thing I really like, and it's something that never made sense to my playtest group, which is sort of they're not going to watch this, so I can call bog standard D&D background players. They just love to go out and kill things. So these guys never got the knowledge check. Why can't I be good at knowing something? why does it have to be tied to my level and things like that. Well, now knowledge checks are part of the skill check. You gain experience in investigation when you know about investigative techniques, and so it's sort of just rolled it all in a fairly natural way. So somebody invests skill points, they also get. They'll never be like, I have a 30 bonus.
Yeah, to make it clear, the knowledge checks are made with any skill in the game.
Right. So and it covers a lot of other things that actually let us compare out.
Right.
Certain skills which will really sort of knowledge with a function dropped on top of them.
Another thing that's made with any skill in the game, which I'm really wildly excited about. So one of the biggest problems with Spycraft that adapting to fantasy, people couldn't get wrap their heads around how this would work. Is Spycraft is a mission-based game. Well, what happens if I want to run a game that just keeps going? You need to have a break. You need to have a point for the purposes of game balance. You kind of have to have a point where adventure abilities can kick in and all these other things. But we didn't want to have a gearing up phase because it's just so clunky for fantasy play. And we realized that most people just kind of play campaigns. So instead we instituted this thing called downtime, where the GM at any point in the game can just sort of say, well, I know for the next X amount of time, nothing's really going to be going on in the game. So instead, I'm just going to constitute that as downtime.
This is the time where Conan blows all his money on ale and hookers.
And if enough downtime passes, your adventure abilities kick in, and they refresh and whatnot, and other things happen to you. But skill checks also are allowed in downtime that aren't allowed in regular play. For instance, I'm a guy who's really good at haggling, and which is one of the new skills in the game. I want to go and make money at the market. Okay, well that's cool. We certainly don't want to roleplay you buying and selling stuff for 3 weeks. So instead, we're going to have you make a single haggle check, and we're going to extrapolate from that using a simple formula in the downtime section. How much money will you make doing this? Right. The person could make money with acrobatics by being a street performer. They could make money with investigate, working for the king. They can do whatever they want, and it's all just flavor, and it's a way for you to build your character and make money based on your skills you've already bought.
And this is really handy when it comes to crafting. You can make your own stuff, because actually it's tied to the gear system. What you do is, part of complexity, you have the DCs. Well, all we've added is a little alphanumeric code, so it lets you know how long you need to build it. So
what's the minimum amount of time?
Right, so there's a difficulty tied to how long it takes. So if you have weeks, then you can go ahead and build a sword, which is coded with weeks, and as opposed to, well, I want to build a pointy stick on the end.
Whittle a stick, which is more like,
days, yes, but if you have day or whatever, however fine our code goes. So anyway, it lets you do a lot of things. So you can improvise if you know how long it takes, how long you have to have. It's just another aspect of weapons and gear and stuff. So people who want to make things in the field, this is a time, fantasy sort of setting, a place where people make a lot of their own stuff. It becomes very, very easy. So people say, well, I bet I want to make you can do it. And you know how hard it is. And you know how long it takes.
Make a horse. Okay, you can do that. It's going to take you months.
Right, yeah, we have crafting husbandry exists. So yes, you're like, well, sometime a girl horse means a boy horse, and a baby horse. It doesn't be a big horse that I actually want to ride.
Does that replace complex skill checks?
No. No. Complex tasks still exist, but it actually makes complex tasks cooler, because now, instead of thinking of complex tasks as this thing that you can determine, you can use to determine how long lengthy tasks take, or resolve these little challenges that need to be incremented. It's exclusively when you're in encounter play, how do I increase the tension of a single skill activity? And that can take two different forms. It's rushing to get it done before a time limit is done, or